All right, I'm bunching on stage successfully. Okay, I'm gonna do kind of two stacked demos. One is probably more internal facing, and one is definitely for the crowd, I guess. Let me. So for devs, we've had Storybook in the code base for a little while. We are starting to put a lot of stuff in here to support the work that Meredith and I have been doing, building out containers and the sort of new dashboard layout stuff. We will start enriching it with documentation too, but so this just like gives you like every single button we have. Probably some that Jared and Sarah would really prefer people not use, but they're all in here. We will make like a cover page, and this thing shows docs like how to use them all pretty shortly. And Meredith has demoed before that we actually can do snapshot testing on these, so we can tell if they jiggle by a pixel, which is actually really critical for all this container work we're going to do, where we want to be able to guarantee layouts looking identical each time. Not pixel perfect in those, but eventually. So bunch of components in here. One that's going to go in later today. Toasts are kind of a pain to play with, and so this new toaster oven suite lets you actually go see all the ways you can do toasts, so like how durations work, and all the things. So yeah, you can do goofy stuff. Yeah, and again, we can screenshot these, so it's nice. The part of the reason that I wanted to have all of this stuff in this testable environment is there is a future where we expose all of these components to our customers within the sort of new framework we're going to offer. And so we'll actually be able to layer our same theming system over top of this and do testing of it, visual testing and snapshot testing. So we can actually prove that theming is working at all the different layers that we want. So yeah. Okay, so this is a demo of the new dashboard builder. I think I've shown pieces of this before. It's getting a little more mature. The in-product integration will happen. I'll show that next week. It was working last night, and then I busted it all, and I can't get it back together quite fast enough for demoing. So the actual dashboard surface here is this faux version we use for testing, but all the other components are the real ones we're going to put in the product. You can kind of ignore the before and after sections for the initial push. Those are going to be for some support for fixed areas. But this is sort of showing off our plan for the selection model. So this is designed to sort of replicate today's layout, where you have filters on top in this container, and then you have your dashboard grid. And you can see that the grid is in the same layout system we use today. These don't have any styles applied to them, so they kind of look gross. Again, not the real renderer. Nice thing is you can pick one here, and you actually get all the properties of it. This is just mocked up. So we'll bring our real components in here and make this nice. And if you're a nerd like me, you can actually go in and mess around with the actual underlying data structures of it. And we plan to actually expose this to customers. Same way we expose the Vega Lite to people. If you want to go build stuff that we don't support in the UI, you will be able to do that. With all of the fun of you'll probably break your stuff if you do it too much. But that's something we want to make sure is built into the system. We will have validators to treat you nicely. And the plan is to eventually expose this as YAML, not as JSON, because nobody likes writing JSON, myself included. This is what I broke this morning, was the mapping engine that actually lets you like adjust padding and stuff. But you actually can see here, if I like grab the filters here, they have a gap set that is basically keeping these two from not touching. This layout is, you can see actually this is the page layout. So if you had a dashboard and you really want to like dial in settings, so like you're embedding it, you can actually adjust your the padding of the whole surface here. So you can, the gap or the padding here, you actually can adjust it up and down. This height thing is a lie, it's a bug. So again, we're going to give you a lot of, well, not a lot, sort of infinite control of how components compose together. The other piece is you actually be able to drag and drop things around inside these stacks. So you can reorder individual elements and kind of decide how you want your layout to work. And then there's this asset catalog that's a little ugly because it's missing all its labels. But these are like controls and filters and queries will all be in here, and you can bring those in. for the first version, we're not going to offer multiple pages because we're not quite ready for it. But eventually, not very long, we'll support multiple pages, so you can have various pages. And one thing when you sort of play with pages, that they're also going to be the way to do like drawers and overlays and things like that. And then we will enrich them with logic, so you can actually decide, hey, I want this drawer to show up on top of this when the user does this. So these are kind of the fundamentals. The first version of pages is always going to be tabs. We're going to give you a tab component, you're going to put it at the top, and you can have tabs. And we will keep enriching them very quickly. One sort of easy demo to show off. I talked about the traditional layout. One thing we've had people ask for is, I wish the filters would stay stuck on top. If we go look at the layout, it's really simple. You basically move that filter block here up to the top into this before section, and it tells it to be fixed. We will also, in Real Dashboard, allow you to customize the footer of the dashboard. So in today's dashboard, we'll see if I can get an example up here really quick. Sorry, my instance was rebooting. Never mind, we're not going to show that. I don't have my backend service running, so it does not like me right now. But anyway, in our traditional dashboards, there's like a download link and some other stuff at the footer. We're actually going to give you control to decide what's in the footer of your dashboard. It may, if you're embedded, have a watermark if depending on your agreement with us, but you'll be able to control everything else about that. And so we have folks who wanted to like dial in which buttons are down there, things like that. So we're going to open all that up. So yeah, making lots of progress. Yeah.
Does this also offer us sort of like the framework and the underpinning for like, based on a user attribute, show this section, or like based on a query that gets run, show this section? Like, is that stuff that we're thinking about?
Yeah, this is really about the layout system. But the cool thing is we understand it. Like today's layout system, I'll be honest, we know how it works, but letting you programmatically mess with it is a bad idea. I can show really quick. If you look at this grid here, you can see how the current system stores everything in these grid entries like this. Good luck writing logic around that. So instead of the new system, they're just nice arrays that you can like swap things out of. And so that makes writing logic against it really rational. We also have all this very strongly typed so that when you write your own little logic, we can actually like pre-compile it and check and be like, oh, your logic's going to break this way, like the content validator. So yeah, that's the whole plan of getting the system to where we understand the structure of your document and give you all this design control. So it made sort of sense to deliver the design control first because we get that structure in place, and then we can let you go wild. So yeah, that's going to give us give customers all kinds of crazy stuff they can go build. And the big goal there is to offer both an experience where you can do it manually like this, just write code, and we'll give you sort of a logic engine, or you can do it all drag and drop. There will be limitations to drag and drop just because there's a point at which you like doing more complicated things that we could have built a WYSIWYG for. But the hope is that we can get to that 80% line. And if you want to go all the way out, then write some code. So yeah, that's containers one. So more to come.
Luke, before you close here, just to keep me honest, but just to kind of like high level for folks too, or watching out the fields, like the steps we're going down is like one, this layout, which is going to let it, like the first goal for us is this containers concept, which lets you, like the use cases are grouping tiles visually together and the ability to move filters or controls into other places, like into containers or other places on the dashboard. So like that's first unlock. Next, they kind of go hand in hand, but tabbed dashboards introduces the concept of now you have different pages or like different sets of these containers, and tied to the event logic that Luke was just talking about, where you can now have, like, say, on click, switch this page, which then opens up even further flexibility on actions, like on user attribute, do this different thing. So that's kind of the plan for how this is building on itself.
Yep. Yeah. And like this demo, this right here is like the simplest demo. It's basically, I stuck a filter, I think it's a filter by the control, inside a tile. This contains a tile, and I actually stuck a text block down at the bottom of it. And it's scrolling because I didn't make it tall enough, but you could make it tall enough to actually not scroll.
And then I'll put you on the spot, so apologies in advance, but what should we expect in terms of first like touchable thing in the product, at least for us internally, for folks to start playing with?
So the goal is to get this layout basically in the product replacing, let me go over to Playground really quick, since my local is not happy with me. Let me in. The goal is to replace this guy here, our nice charts panel, with not that broken tab, with this guy. So, and that will give us, it will basically be turned down a little bit, but basically it's going to give you the ability to go ahead and move your filters around, and text blocks too if you want to. So that's view one. The goal is to have that, well, not the goal, the commitment is to have that by the end of the month. It may be behind a feature flag, to be super clear, because crazy.
Cool.
But
So move
yeah.
filters, also group tiles, like group charts together visually.
I think I don't see a reason not to do that. But like the end of month is definitely to filters. I think will probably basically be any element can be grouped together, and you'll have some control over their layout. So
Are these going to be whole new content dashboard types, or is the idea that this is going to magically be backwards compatible?
it's backwards compatible. Or yes, the quick answer is yeah. It's a progressive upgrade, so you don't have to like port over to it.
So like out of the box, every dashboard is just a set of individual tiles. You can optionally decide to start moving those tiles into these groups containers so that you can like rearrange stuff a little more
Yeah.
regularly.
We're kind of
like-
doing we're doing this a little bit fun inside out in that today's we use React Grid layout. We're going to let React Grid layout have a container inside each tile if it wants to, and every tile gets replaced with a container, and you get more control over it. The caveat I'm going to give for end of month, I don't know if these are going to schedule real pretty. So it's going to be very much like a POC for embeds, or yeah, it'll be a bit of a POC, and we'll quickly follow with like making sure it actually like renders properly in scheduler, just because we're adding some layers there. But we're committed to making that work.